You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode 185.2.6. Kevin Hendrickson reacts to Madison-Grant's sectional draw.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Welcome, basketball fans. The IHSA draw was revealed on Sunday, and we have reactions from several head coaches, including Madison-Grant head coach Josh Hendrixson, whose Argylls have their sights set on their first sectional championship since 2017, and it was a really good draw for the Argylls. They will open the sectional on Tuesday night, March 4th, against 2 and 18 Burris. And if the Argylls can get past the Owls, they will face an Alexandria team that they beat 70-65 at Alexandria on February 14th. Alexandria is 6-15. If it is the Argylls and the Tigers are as expected, that'll be on Friday, the second semifinal on March 7th. On the other side of the bracket, defending semi-state champion and second-ranked Wapahani most likely awaits. However, they are not the only good team on the other side of the bracket. Host CIC champion Blackford is also there and got a first-round bye. And Eastbrook, which has been playing as well as any team in the sectional, drew Wapahani in the first round. Before the sectional begins next week, Madison-Grant will face Muncie Burris on Tuesday for the first of 2 times in a week. And then they will host 4, 5, and 14 Daleville in their regular season finale at home on Friday. Here is Madison-Grant head coach Josh Hendrixson with his thoughts on the Argyle sectional draw.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
All right, Coach. Well, first of all, before we get to the sectional, your team's been playing really well of late. It looks like maybe a level or two above early in the season.
Yeah, it took us a while to get our skill to where it needed to be. We don't have a lot of basketball first guys. We don't have a lot of guys who do stuff in the off season. A bunch of football guys, and coming back from a long football season, getting to the sectional championship. I think our skill level start the season was very low. I don't think it's the best yet, but it's better than it was early in the season. I think it's a group that's tough, and they can defend and they can rebound, and that's given us an opportunity to stay in some of these games. We don't shoot it as well, but we have been making some shots lately. We've been getting big contributions from our guards that we weren't getting early in the season. I think that's been a difference.
And a really good group of kids who pretty coachable too, right?
Oh yeah, they've always been coachable. They listen. They want to get better. They want to go out there and compete. They want to soak it all in. So it's absolutely a fun group, and they will listen and they will do what we need to do to get wins. Sometimes it doesn't always result in wins, but we are definitely trending up, and it's been because of how coachable they are.
Speaking of which, you after the recent success, the sectional draw came out Sunday night. No matter what the draw is, you're going to have to go through it, but you probably really liked seeing Wapahani, Eastbrook, and Blackford in the other half of the bracket.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Wapahani obviously is the elephant in the room, 19-1. I went to the state championship last year. The roster's a little bit different than last year, but that's a program who doesn't have football. They don't have to worry about that in the fall. They can pretty much practice basketball all year round. And when you don't have football, your head coach is the AD. I think that helps with some things. And they're a heck of a basketball program, one of the best, I think, in 2A, especially public school wise. And then Blackford obviously has had a really good season. Eastbrook's had a good season. So yeah, there are a lot of talented teams in this sectional. Alexandria is one who, if they make shots and get going, they've got some people who can really hurt you. But being on the other side of the bracket from Wapahani is definitely something that I'm not displeased about.
And obviously, you're not good enough at this point to look past anybody, and that includes a 2-18 Burris team that. The results early in the year looked really bad for Burris, but they've been pretty competitive lately. What do you know about the Owls?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I'll say I don't know if, in my mind, I don't know if anybody's good enough to look past anybody. So not just us, but that's something I would never ever tell my team if I had the original dream team. I wouldn't have them looking back past people. But Burris is one who they have some athleticism. They'll throw some different zones at you. They can make you get sped up and do some things out of character on offense if you allow them to. That's the biggest thing. If we're fundamental against them, I think we can do some good things. That means fundamental on offense and defense. That we're getting the ball to the place it needs to get to against their zone. And we're attacking it the correct way. We're not, just chucking up threes, or we're not trying to dribble through zone presses. Then on defense, the fundamentally sound shell defense, it's something we do. 80 to 85% of our practices work on shell defense. I think that's something lately who hasn't been the best. Second half of Eastern was good, held them to 15. We really followed scouting report, did some good things there. But we need to get back to our fundamentals with our shell defense, and that means closing out correctly. Everybody's blocking out. We're seeing ball you man. You're one pass away. You're in the gap. 2 passes away. You got foot in the lane, opposite side, your midline. Some of that positioning stuff and that fundamentals we really need to clean up. And I think we have a couple games to work on that before we get to sectional.
Yeah, let's talk about that real fast. The sectional draw comes out with still a week to go. Not just a week of games, but a week of practices as well. What are you looking for your team to what do you want to see in practice and in the upcoming games from your team as you head into the sectional?
Just like I said, the fundamentals on defense, that's where we need to get back to. I think that's been a little bit sloppy going back to the Alexandria game. I think we've had spurts. Alexandria game is probably the worst we defended all year, and it was just a complete lack of man-to-man fundamentals on defense. I was hoping it's kind of a blip on the radar. I think it kind of was because it has been better at times, but I don't think we're getting the 32-minute defensive effort at times that we did earlier in the season, and that's one thing that we're really going to look at. Effort might be the wrong word. Just staying in it mentally and knowing where you need to be, and making sure that you're doing all the fundamentally sound things. Then on offense, we need to continue to get shots up and work on those skills. That's one thing that with this group, I think they are a group that I've had to have more shooting drills in practice than any other group I've ever coached. And we just need to make sure that we continue to get shots up and keep that sharp offensively.
And speaking of Alexandria, they probably were pretty happy to see you in their bracket as well. So obviously big rival, maybe as big as you have. Does that, in a postseason game, does that come into play at all, having it being a rival?
I mean, I don't. It's the same for both teams. Anybody in the CIC, honestly. We play, a couple of these teams twice every year because they're in Grant 4. So, there's times we can see Eastbrook 3 times. Alexandria we can see multiple times. Obviously, Blackford. It's any CIC game. The coaches know each other well. The players know each other well. I think it's just. It comes down to who can execute the best. I mean, we know what Alexandria is going to run, how they're going to try to attack us. They know what we're going to run, how we're going to try to attack them. And I think the biggest factor is it comes down to just who executes their stuff the best, because there won't be surprises either way.
And as good as Wapahani is, I bet you would like to see how your team stacks up against them a week from Saturday night.
Yeah, obviously I've seen Wapahani, and being from the Muncie area, I'm familiar with their program, they're a team who really shoots it. I don't know if I've seen a team who shoots it quite like they do in my years of coaching. Last time I checked, 48% from 3 as a team. I've never coached a player that shot 48% from 3 for a season, if that tells you what that number is like. So, it'll be interesting to see how we do stack up if we're lucky enough to get there. But Burris and Alexandria first, and then if we are good enough, we play well enough in those first 2 games to play on Saturday night. Anything can happen in the sectional championship. People don't always make shots. There's games or two, even like Golden State Warriors when they had the Splash Brothers. There's some games that they did not make shots, and at the end of the day, basketball is a make or miss game, and one game situation. You never know what might happen, but we have 2 contests to get through before we even think about that.
Coach, thank you so much for your time, and good luck. Can't wait to see what happens in the sectional.
All right, thank you.
Thank you to Coach Hendrixson for taking the time to spend with us and talk to you. And thank you for listening. Please go like, subscribe, or follow us. SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. And now we are at YouTube. Go please subscribe there. And if you wouldn't mind, please tell a friend about the Central Indiana Sports Report. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.